Number 1. We're taking a closer look at a classic 1967 Ford Mustang Coupe 2D that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This beauty is priced at just $4,200, which seems like a steal for a piece of American muscle car history. However, before you get too excited, let's dive into the details and see what this Mustang is all about. According to the seller, this Mustang was once the pride and joy of an old-school dad who kept it parked for years. The good news is that it still runs and drives smoothly, which is a testament to the quality of these classic Mustangs. Under the hood, you'll find a beefy 351 V8 engine paired with a 4-speed automatic transmission, which should provide plenty of power and a smooth driving experience. Now here's where things get a bit tricky. The seller admits that this Mustang needs some work, particularly in the electrical department. The wipers, headlights, and stereo system all need attention, so be prepared to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty if you want to bring this classic back to its former glory. The interior also needs some TLC to look new and neat again, so factor that into your budget and time constraints. As for the exterior, the seller mentions that it will need a little body work, which is not surprising for a car that's over 50 years old. However, if you're handy with a wrench and have a keen eye for detail, this could be a fun project to take on. In conclusion, this 1967 Ford Mustang Coupe 2D is not for the faint of heart. It needs work, but if you're up for the challenge and have a passion for classic cars, it could be a rewarding investment. Just be sure to do your due diligence, inspect the car thoroughly, and have a realistic budget in mind before taking the plunge. With some elbow grease and patience, you could be cruising down the road in a piece of American automotive history in no time. Number 2, we've got a real treat for you. A 1963 Mercury Meteor that's up for grabs on Craigslist for just $8,350. This beauty is the twin of the Ford Fairlane, and it's got a lot of history behind it. First things first, let's talk about what's under the hood. This Meteor is powered by a 2160 V8 2-barrel engine, which should provide plenty of get up and go for cruising around town or hitting the highway. The seller mentions that the carburetor has been rebuilt, so you can expect smooth, reliable performance from this classic power plant. Now, let's talk about the condition of this Meteor. According to the seller, it's an older restored car that's been repainted and looks nice. The bumpers have been re-chromed, which is a great touch that really makes this car shine. The seller also notes that this is a North Dakota car, which means it's likely been spared from the ravages of rust that can plague classic cars in other parts of the country. But that's not all. The seller has made some recent upgrades to this Meteor that are worth mentioning. The windshield is brand new, which is a big plus for safety and visibility. The battery is also new, so you won't have to worry about any starting issues. The front tires have been replaced and the brakes have been serviced, which should give you peace of mind when you're out on the road. Of course, as with any classic car, there may be some minor issues to address. The seller doesn't mention anything specific, but it's always a good idea to give the car a thorough inspection before making a purchase. Look for any signs of wear and tear and make sure all the mechanica. Overall, this 1963 Mercury Meteor seems like a great find for anyone who loves classic American cars. It's got a strong engine, a nice paint job, and some recent upgrades that make it a solid choice for a weekend cruiser or a show car. And at just $8,350, it's a lot of car for the money. If you're in the market for a vintage ride with plenty of style and character, this Meteor is definitely worth checking out. Number 3. We've got a real treat for you. A 1970 Plymouth Duster that's up for grabs on Craigslist for just $7,800. Now, before we dive into the details, let's get one thing straight. This isn't a show car. It's a running and driving project that needs some love, but if you're up for the challenge, it could be a real gem. Under the hood, you'll find a built 440 engine that's paired with a 7927 manual valve body transmission. The seller notes that it needs a different shifter, but hey, that's just part of the fun of owning a project car. The good news is that there's no smoke, rattle, or knocks coming from the engine, which is a great sign. This Duster also has some nice upgrades, including an MSD ignition system, an electric Holley fuel pump, and hooker headers with bolt-on mufflers past the collectors. The rear end is an 834 with a POSI and 410 gears, which should make for some serious fun on the drag strip. Now, let's talk about the condition of this Duster. The seller admits that it's an old drag car, but it still has all its glass, and the back seat was removed and a panel was installed. The passenger quarter panel needs some love, and there's one small rust spot in the rear floor pan. But honestly, for a car that's 54 years old, a little rust here and there is to be expected. Inside, you'll find some aftermarket gauges, which is a nice touch. The lights work, which is always a plus. The car sits on weld wheels with brand new front tires, so you won't have to worry about that expense right away. The seller does note that this Duster is still rocking four-wheel drum brakes, so they recommend hauling the car rather than driving it home. And while it's decently solid for its age, there is some rust here and there, so be prepared to put in some work to get it back to its former glory. Overall, this 1970 Plymouth Duster is a great find for anyone who loves a good project car. It's got a strong engine, some nice upgrades, and plenty of potential. And at just $7,800, it's a lot of car for the money. The seller is looking to sell and isn't really interested in trades, so if you're ready to take on a new project and have some cash burning a hole in your pocket, this Duster might just be the one for you. Number 4. We've got a real treat for you, a 1985 Cadillac Coupe that's up for grabs on Craigslist for $13,000. Now, before we dive into the details, let's take a moment to appreciate the fact that this car has only 61,000 miles on it. That's right, just 61,000 miles. It's clear that this Cadillac has been well loved and cared for over the years. Under the hood, you'll find a 4.1-liter V8 engine that purrs like a kitten. The seller notes that this Cadillac has never been in a wreck and has never been smoked in, which is a huge plus. And get this, no one has ever even ridden in the back seat. That means the interior is likely in pristine condition. Speaking of the interior, the seller mentions that the headliner has been replaced, which is a common issue with older cars. But hey, that just means you won't have to worry about it sagging or falling down on you while you're cruising down the highway. Now, let's talk about what's been updated on this Cadillac. The seller notes that the car has 4 new tires, a new radiator, and a new AC compressor. That means you can ride in comfort and style, even on the hottest of days. And, with only 61,000 miles on the odometer, you can bet that this Cadillac has plenty of life left in it. The seller also mentions that nothing has ever been in the trunk, which is a testament to how well this car has been cared for. And get this, everything else on the car is original. That means you're getting a true piece of automotive history here. Of course, as with any used car, there may be some minor issues to address. But based on the seller's description, it sounds like this Cadillac is in excellent condition overall. And at just $13,000, it's a lot of car for the money. If you're in the market for a classic luxury car that's been well maintained and has plenty of life left in it, this 1985 Cadillac Coupe might just be the one for you. It's got a strong engine, a comfortable interior, and some nice updates that make it a joy to drive. Plus, with only 61,000 miles on the odometer, you can bet that this car has been cherished by its previous owner, so if you're ready to experience the ultimate in classic luxury, head on over to Craigslist and check out this beautiful Cadillac today. Number 5. We're diving into a classic beauty that's up for grabs on Craigslist, a 1968 Impala Convertible. This vintage ride is priced at $13,500, and it's ready to hit the road with a new owner behind the wheel. Now let's talk about what makes this Impala special. Originally, this car was rocking a V8 engine with a 3-speed manual transmission. However, it's undergone some changes over the years. The seller mentions that it now has a 305 engine paired with an automatic transmission, which means you can enjoy a smooth ride without worrying about shifting gears. The Impala also comes with some sweet features like power steering, power brakes with four-wheel discs, a power top, and a glass back window. Plus, it's got a factory tach and gauges, giving it that authentic vintage feel. According to the seller, this Impala runs and drives well for an older car. The body looks good, and it's pretty solid overall, considering its age. However, it's important to note that there is a little rust in the front floors. But don't worry, the rest of the floors and trunk appear to be solid, and the frame looks good too. One thing I always prioritize is being honest with you guys. While this Impala has a lot of great features and a solid foundation, it's not perfect. The rust in the front floors is something to keep in mind, but it doesn't seem to be a deal breaker based on the seller's description. At the end of the day, this 1968 Impala Convertible is a classic car with a lot of character. It's got a clean title, and it's ready to provide plenty of fun in the sun with its power top and solid overall condition. If you're in the market for a vintage ride with some modern upgrades, this Impala might just be the one for you. As always, be sure to do your due diligence and check out the car in person before making any decisions. But if everything checks out, you could be cruising down the road in this beautiful piece of automotive history in no time. Number 6. We're checking out a 1985 Corvette Coupe that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic sports car is priced at $5,700, and it's ready for a new owner to take the wheel. Let's dive into the details that make this Corvette an interesting find. Under the hood, you'll find a 350 TPI engine that's paired with a 4-speed automatic transmission. The seller mentions that both the engine and transmission underwent a complete rebuild about 22,000 miles ago, which is a big plus. It's always good to know that the heart of the car has been given some TLC. The seller also notes that the Corvette has new brakes, which is another important factor to consider when looking at a car of this age. It's reassuring to know that some of the critical components have been recently updated. Now let's talk about the overall condition of this 1985 Corvette. The seller doesn't provide a lot of details about the exterior or interior, so it's hard to gauge the cosmetic state of the car. However, they do mention that the car runs strong, which is a good sign. One thing to keep in mind is that this Corvette has a 133,300 miles on the odometer. While that might seem like a lot, it's not necessarily a deal breaker for a car that's been well maintained. The rebuilt engine and transmission, along with the new brakes, suggest that the seller has put some work into keeping this Corvette running smoothly. As with any used car purchase, it's crucial to do your due diligence. The seller mentions having paperwork for the engine and transmission rebuild, which is great for verifying the work that's been done. However, it's still a good idea to have the car inspected by a trusted mechanic before making a final decision. Overall, this 1985 Corvette Coupe seems like a solid choice for someone looking for a classic sports car with some recent upgrades. The rebuilt engine and transmission, along with the new brakes, are definitely points in its favor. Just be sure to check it out in person and get a good feel for the overall condition before making any commitments. If everything checks out, you could be hitting the open road in this iconic piece of American automotive history in no time. Happy hunting, car enthusiasts. Number 7. We're taking a closer look at a 1964 Ford Falcon Coupe that's currently listed on Craigslist for $3,900. This classic ride has some interesting features, but it also comes with a few challenges that potential buyers should be aware of. First off, let's talk about what makes this Falcon unique. Originally, this car was equipped with a 289 V8 engine and an automatic transmission, which would have made it a pretty sweet ride back in the day. However, the seller notes that the car is now available without the motor and transmission. This means that if you're considering this Falcon, you'll need to factor in the cost and effort of sourcing and installing a new powertrain. Now, Let's dive into the condition of this 1964 Falcon. The seller mentions that the front floorboards have been previously patched, which suggests that there may have been some rust or damage in that area. It's important to take a close look at the quality of these patches and the overall condition of the floor to ensure that there aren't any major structural issues. On the plus side, this Falcon has some aftermarket upgrades that could make it a fun project car. The seller notes that it has coil-over rear shocks, which can improve handling and ride quality. It also comes with aftermarket aluminum wheels, which give it a more modern and sporty look. As with any classic car purchase, it's crucial to do your homework and inspect the vehicle thoroughly before making a decision. While the lack of an engine and transmission might be a drawback for some buyers, it could also be an opportunity for someone who wants to build their dream Falcon from the ground up. If you're up for a challenge and have the skills and resources to take on a project car, this 1964 Ford Falcon Coupe could be a great starting point. Just be sure to go into it with your eyes wide open and a clear understanding of what you're getting into. At the end of the day, this Falcon is a piece of automotive history with a lot of potential. Whether you decide to restore it to its original glory or give it a modern twist, it's sure to turn heads wherever it goes. Thanks for tuning in, car enthusiasts. If you've got any questions or just want to chat about classic rides, feel free to drop a comment below. Number 8. We've got a real treat for you. A 1982 Corvette in a stunning dark claret color. And it's up for grabs on Craigslist for just $14,900. This classic sports car has a lot going for it. So let's dive in and take a closer look. First off, can we talk about that mileage? With just 43,000 miles on the odometer, this Corvette has been sparingly used over the years. It's always exciting to find a classic car with low mileage, as it often means it's been well cared for and has plenty of life left in it. One of the standout features of this Corvette is the fresh, professionally done paint job in the factory-correct dark claret color. The seller even mentions that you can see the reflection of the clouds in the paint, which is a testament to the quality of the finish. Paired with the beautiful matching maroon leather interior, this Corvette is a real head-turner. Speaking of the interior, it's in excellent condition from the carpet to the headliner. The car comes with some great features like power windows, power driver side seat, electric sports mirrors, power door locks, and a tilt and telescopic steering column. The AM/FM CD sound system with dual rear speakers is sure to keep you entertained on those long drives. Under the hood, you'll find the original numbers-matching 350 engine paired with a 700 R4 automatic transmission. The seller notes that the engine runs strong and the transmission shifts smoothly, which is always a good sign in a classic car. Now, no car is perfect, and this Corvette does have a few minor issues to be aware of. The AC doesn't blow cold, and the AC heat control panel isn't flush in the console. There's also a small ring cut on the leather steering wheel, and some wear/tear on the driver's seat back leather from climbing in and out. Additionally, there's a crack in the molding above the rearview mirror. However, these issues seem relatively minor considering the overall condition of the car. One thing to note is that while the seller mentions that all gauges and instruments are functional, the clock doesn't work. It's a small detail, but it's important to be upfront about these things. On the plus side, the car comes with some great extras like the mirrored glass T-tops with original storage bags and hold-down straps. The BF Goodrich Radial TA tires are just 4 years old, so you won't need to worry about replacing them anytime soon. Overall, this 1982 Corvette in dark claret seems like a fantastic find for any car enthusiast. With its low mileage, fresh paint, and excellent interior condition, it's sure to turn heads wherever it goes. While it does have a few minor issues, they seem relatively easy to address and don't detract from the overall appeal of the car. If you're in the market for a classic Corvette that's ready to hit the road, this dark claret beauty might just be the one for you. As always, be sure to do your due diligence and inspect the car thoroughly before making any decisions. But if everything checks out, you could be cruising down the highway in style in no time. Number 9, we're checking out a 1979 Chrysler Cordoba that's up for grabs on Craigslist for just $1,500. This classic ride seems to have a lot going for it, so let's dive in and see what makes it special. First off, let's talk about the heart of this Cordoba, the engine. Under the hood, you'll find a 318 engine, which is a solid and reliable power plant. The seller mentions that it runs excellently, which is always a good sign in a classic car. Paired with the 318 is a perfectly shifting automatic transmission, so you can expect a smooth driving experience. Now, let's move on to the overall condition of this 1979 Cordoba. The seller describes it as a very solid classic Chrysler, which suggests that it's been well maintained over the years. It's always a plus when a classic car has been kept in good shape, as it can save you a lot of time and money in repairs down the line. One of the standout features of this Cordoba is the interior. The seller notes that it's very clean, which is impressive for a car that's over 40 years old. A clean interior not only makes for a more enjoyable driving experience, but also adds to the overall value of the car. While the seller doesn't provide a lot of details about the exterior condition, they do mention that it's a solid car. Of course, it's always a good idea to inspect the body and paint in person to get a better idea of any potential issues or areas that may need attention. At just $1,500, this 1979 Chrysler Cordoba seems like a great deal for anyone looking for a classic car that's ready to hit the road. The combination of a strong-running 318 engine, a smooth shifting automatic transmission, and a clean interior make it an attractive option for enthusiasts on a budget. As with any used car purchase, it's important to do your due diligence and thoroughly inspect the vehicle before making a decision. While the seller's description paints a positive picture, it's always a good idea to check things out for yourself and ask plenty of questions. If everything checks out, this Cordoba could be a fun and affordable way to get into the classic car hobby. Whether you're looking for a daily driver or a weekend cruiser, this Chrysler seems like it has a lot of potential. Number 10, we're diving into a classic ride that's up for grabs on Craigslist. Get ready to feast your eyes on a 1979 Ford Durango, and it can be yours for just $13,000. Now let's get real for a moment. This Durango has been around the block a few times, and it shows. The seller is upfront about it, mentioning that the car is in fair condition. But hey, that's the beauty of a classic, right? It's got character, and it's ready for a new owner who appreciates its history. But don't let the wear and tear fool you. This Durango is packing some serious heat under the hood. We're talking about a 302 engine with an Edelbrock 4-barrel carburetor and a matching high-rise intake. And let's not forget about those shorty headers that give this beast a sweet, rumbling sound. It's the kind of soundtrack that'll make your heart skip a beat every time you turn the key. And if you're worried about wrestling with a steering wheel, don't be. This Durango comes equipped with power steering, so you can cruise down the highway with ease. Plus, the JVC stereo system is ready to blast your favorite tunes as you hit the open road. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This 1979 Ford Durango has seen better days. But that's what makes it so special. It's a piece of automotive history that's waiting for someone to give it a new lease on life. And with a price tag of just $13,000, it's an opportunity that's hard to pass up. So, if you're ready to take on a project car with plenty of potential, head on over to Craigslist and check out this 1979 Ford Durango. It may not be perfect, but it's got a lot of heart, and it's ready to make some new memories with a lucky owner. Number 11. We've got a real treat for you, a 1980 MGB that's currently up for grabs on Craigslist for $7,500. This classic British roadster has a lot of great features and upgrades, so let's dive in and see what makes it special. First off, let's talk about those new tires. The seller mentions that the car has 5 new tires, including the spare, and they've only got about 300 miles on them. That's a big plus, as tires can be a significant expense when buying a used car. The MGB also comes with some sweet alloy wheels from the MG Owners Club of England. These wheels not only look great, but also add to the car's authentic British charm. Under the hood, you'll find some impressive upgrades. The car has a new alloy radiator, which is a great improvement over the original design. It also has a Weber downdraft carburetor, a correct exhaust header, and a K&N air filter. These upgrades should help the engine run smoothly and efficiently. Moving on to the interior, the seller has made some nice improvements here as well. The car has uprated seats that are described as very comfortable. It also has a new ignition switch, turn signal switch, and headlamp light switch. The door wipe seals and regulators have been serviced, which is a great attention to detail. Additionally, the car has a stereo system with a remote, which is a nice modern touch. Now, let's talk about the top. The seller mentions that the car has a fiberglass hardtop, which is a great feature for those who want a little extra protection from the elements. However, they also note that the pack-away convertible top and frame are in poor condition. This is something to keep in mind if you're planning on using the car as a daily driver. One of the great things about this MGB is that it's a Western dry car, which means it's likely to have less rust and corrosion than a car from a wetter climate. The seller also notes that the car runs and drives well, which is always a good sign. The car has a 4-speed manual transmission with no overdrive, which is pretty standard for an MGB of this era. The seller also mentions that the clutch is solid, which is another important factor to consider when buying a used car. Finally, the seller notes that the car now has an Ohio title and registration, which is great for anyone looking to drive it legally on the road. Overall, this 1980 MGB seems like a great find for anyone who loves classic British sports cars. While it does have a few issues, like the poor condition of the convertible top, it also has a lot of great upgrades and features that make it an attractive option. As always, it's important to do your due diligence and thoroughly inspect the car before making a purchase. But if everything checks out, this MGB could be a fun and stylish way to enjoy the open road. Number 12. We've got a real gem to share with you, a 1972 Cadillac Eldorado that's currently listed on Craigslist for $15,000. This classic luxury car is a true head-turner, and it's got some seriously impressive features that make it a standout in the collector car world. First off, can we talk about that mileage? With only 45,000 actual miles on the odometer, this Eldorado has been sparingly used over the past 5 decades. It's incredibly rare to find a classic car with such low mileage, and it's a testament to how well cared for this Cadillac has been over the years. The seller describes this Eldorado as a very nice, clean, solid car inside and out, which is exactly what you want to hear when you're in the market for a classic ride. It's clear that this car has been meticulously maintained and preserved, and it shows in every aspect of its appearance. When it comes to performance, the seller notes that this Eldorado runs and drives great. That's a big plus, as it means you can enjoy this car on the road without worrying about any major mechanical issues. With a powerful V8 engine under the hood, this Cadillac is sure to provide a smooth and luxurious driving experience. Of course, one of the biggest draws of this Eldorado is its stunning appearance. The seller describes it as absolutely beautiful, and it's easy to see why. The classic lines and curves of this car are sure to turn heads wherever you go. Whether you're cruising down the highway or pulling up to a car show, this Eldorado is guaranteed to make a statement. The seller also mentions that this Cadillac is a very nice collector car, which is a great point to highlight. With its low mileage and excellent condition, this Eldorado is a true find for anyone who appreciates classic American luxury cars. It's the kind of car that you can proudly display in your collection or take out for a spin on special occasions. Overall, This 1972 Cadillac Eldorado seems like an incredible opportunity for the right buyer. With its low mileage, excellent condition, and stunning appearance, it's the kind of car that doesn't come around very often. If you're in the market for a classic luxury ride that's sure to impress, this Eldorado is definitely worth considering. As always, it's important to do your due diligence and thoroughly inspect the car before making a purchase. But if everything checks out, this Eldorado could be a dream come true for any classic car enthusiast. Number 13. We've got a real treat for you. A 1968 Ford Torino that's currently up for grabs on Craigslist for $10,150. This classic muscle car has some seriously cool features and a whole lot of vintage charm, so let's dive in and see what makes it special. First off, let's talk about what's under the hood. This Torino is powered by a 289 CID 8-cylinder engine, which is a classic Ford power plant that's known for its strong performance and reliability. With just over 102,000 miles on the odometer, this engine has plenty of life left in it and should provide a thrilling driving experience. One of the unique features of this Torino is the column shift manual transmission. This old-school setup adds to the car's vintage feel and gives you a real sense of connection to the road. It's the kind of thing that will make you feel like you've stepped back in time every time you get behind the wheel. Another cool feature of this Torino is the aftermarket hang-on air conditioner. While it's not original to the car, it's a great addition that will help keep you cool and comfortable on those hot summer days. It's the kind of thing that makes this classic car a bit more practical for everyday use. Now let's talk about the condition of this Torino. The seller notes that there is almost no rust anywhere on the body, which is a huge plus for a car of this age. Rust can be a major problem for classic cars, and it's always a good sign when a seller can say that their car is nearly rust-free. Overall, the seller describes this Torino as being in very good condition for a 50-year-old car. That's a pretty impressive statement, and it speaks to the level of care and maintenance that this car has received over the years. While it may not be in perfect showroom condition, it's clear that this Torino has been well loved and well preserved. At $10,950, this Torino is priced fairly for a classic muscle car in this condition. It's the kind of car that will turn heads wherever you go and provide endless fun on the road. Whether you're a die-hard Ford fan or just appreciate classic American cars, this Torino is definitely worth checking out. As always, it's important to do your due diligence and thoroughly inspect the car before making a purchase. But if everything checks out, this 1968 Ford Torino could be a dream come true for the right buyer. Number 14. We're diving into a classic beauty that's up for grabs on Craigslist, a 1974 Pontiac Ventura. This ride is a real blast from the past, and it's looking for a new owner who will appreciate its vintage charm. Let's start with the heart of this beast. Under the hood, you'll find the original 6-cylinder engine, which the seller says is running strong. That's a good sign, especially for a car that's been around for nearly 5 decades. And if you're a fan of manual transmissions, you'll love the Hurst stick shift on the floor. It adds a sporty touch to this classic ride. Now let's talk about the sound. The seller mentions that the Ventura has a Flowmaster muffler, which means you can expect a throaty, aggressive exhaust note. It's the kind of sound that'll turn heads when you're cruising down the street. Moving on to the aesthetics, the seller reports that the Ventura underwent a cosmetic redo in 2020. It got a fresh coat of paint and an interior makeover. Interestingly, the seats were sourced from a 2015 Ford Focus, which is a modern touch in this classic car. The bumpers and bright trim have a brushed finish with a clear coat, giving it a unique and stylish look. As for the suspension, the seller says it's mostly original, except for the shocks. They also mention that the underside of the car is pretty clean, which is always a good sign when you're dealing with an older vehicle. Now here's the part that might raise some eyebrows: the price. The seller is asking for $11,500 for this 1974 Pontiac Ventura. That's a significant chunk of change for a car that's almost 50 years old. However, the price ultimately depends on the overall condition of the vehicle and how much value the buyer places on owning a piece of automotive history. It's important to note that the seller doesn't mention anything about the car being in poor condition. However, as with any used car purchase, it's always a good idea to have a trusted mechanic inspect the vehicle before making a final decision. In conclusion, this 1974 Pontiac Ventura seems like a solid classic car with a lot of character. It's got a strong engine, a manual transmission, and a unique look thanks to its recent cosmetic upgrades. If you're in the market for a vintage ride and have the budget for it, this Ventura might be worth checking out. Just be sure to do your due diligence and have it inspected before making any commitments. Number 15, we're taking a closer look at a classic 1973 Chrysler Newport that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This big blue beauty is ready for a new owner who appreciates the style and comfort of a vintage American sedan. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 8-cylinder engine that's sure to provide plenty of get up and go. The automatic transmission makes driving this large car a breeze, while the power steering and power brakes ensure a smooth and comfortable ride. One of the standout features of this Newport is the air conditioning. It's a rare find in a car of this age, and it's sure to come in handy on those hot summer days. Just imagine cruising down the highway with the windows down and the cool air blowing through the cabin. The exterior of this Chrysler is finished in a striking blue color that's sure to turn heads wherever you go. The interior is also blue, which creates a cohesive and stylish look throughout the car. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the mileage. The seller states that the miles are exempt on the title, which means that the true mileage of the car is unknown. This is something to keep in mind when considering this vehicle, as high mileage can lead to increased wear and tear on the engine and other components. It's also worth noting that the seller doesn't provide much information about the overall condition of the car. While they don't explicitly state that the car is in poor condition, the lack of details and the relatively low price of $2,800 suggests that there may be some issues to address. As with any used car purchase, it's crucial to have a trusted mechanic inspect the vehicle before making a final decision. They can help identify any potential problems and give you a better idea of what you're getting into. Despite these uncertainties, there's no denying the charm and character of this 1973 Chrysler Newport. It's a classic American sedan that's sure to provide plenty of enjoyment for the right buyer. If you're in the market for a vintage car with style and comfort, this Newport is definitely worth a closer look. In conclusion, while there are some questions about the mileage and overall condition of this 1973 Chrysler Newport, it's still a compelling option for classic car enthusiasts. With its powerful engine, comfortable features, and stylish appearance, this big blue sedan is ready to hit the road with a new owner behind the wheel. Just be sure to do your due diligence and have it inspected before making any commitments. Number 16. We've got a real treat for you, a 1985 Mercury Cougar that's looking for a new home. This classic cat is up for sale on Craigslist, and it's got plenty of features that are sure to get your engine revving. First things first, let's talk about what's under the hood. This Cougar is packing a 5.0-liter, fuel-injected, 8-cylinder engine that's sure to provide plenty of power and performance. Whether you're cruising down the highway or tearing up the back roads, this engine is ready to roar. The automatic transmission makes driving this Cougar a breeze, while the cruise control and tilt wheel add an extra level of comfort and convenience. And let's not forget about the power windows, a feature that was pretty high-tech back in 1985. The exterior of this Mercury is finished in a striking red color that's sure to turn heads wherever you go. The gray interior is a nice contrast that gives the car a sleek and stylish look. Now, let's address the mileage situation. The seller states that the miles are exempt on the title, which means that the true mileage of the car is unknown. This is something to keep in mind when considering this vehicle, as high mileage can lead to increased wear and tear on the engine and other components. The seller doesn't provide much information about the overall condition of the car, so it's difficult to say whether there are any major issues to be aware of. As with any used car purchase, it's always a good idea to have a trusted mechanic inspect the vehicle before making a final decision. Despite these uncertainties, there's no denying the appeal of this 1985 Mercury Cougar. It's a classic American muscle car with plenty of power, style, and features to offer. If you're in the market for a vintage ride that's sure to turn heads and get your heart racing, this Cougar is definitely worth a closer look. Of course, the price is always a factor to consider. The seller is asking $5,900 for this Cougar, which may seem a bit steep for a car with an unknown mileage and condition. However, the value of classic cars like this one can vary widely depending on factors like rarity, desirability, and overall condition. In conclusion, this 1985 Mercury Cougar is a compelling option for classic car enthusiasts who are looking for a powerful and stylish ride. With its fuel-injected 8-cylinder engine, comfortable features, and striking red exterior, this Cougar is ready to prowl the streets with a new owner behind the wheel. Just be sure to do your due diligence and have it inspected before making any commitments. And if the price is right and the car checks out, you might just find yourself the proud owner of a classic American muscle car. Number 17. We've got a real treat for you. We're taking a closer look at a 1985 Corvette that's up for grabs on Craigslist, and it can be yours for just $3,000. That's right, $3,000 for an American classic. Now let's dive into the details. The seller has provided some great information about this C4 Corvette. First off, the body is in fantastic shape. We're talking a solid 9 out of 10 here, folks. That means you won't have to spend countless hours and dollars fixing up the exterior. It's ready to turn heads right out of the gate. Moving on to the drivetrain, the seller rates it at an impressive 9 out of 10 as well. That's a testament to the quality and reliability of the Corvette's engine and transmission. You can rest assured that this beauty will have plenty of power to get you down the road in style. The interior, while not perfect, is still in great shape. The seller gives it a 7 out of 10, which means there's a little wear and tear, but nothing that can't be easily addressed. It's the kind of patina that adds character to a classic car like this. But here's the real kicker. This Corvette comes with a headlight conversion kit. That means you can upgrade to the more reliable, later model headlight motors, ensuring that you'll have bright, dependable lighting whenever you need it. It's a small detail, but it shows that the seller has put some thought and care into this car. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Is this too good to be true? Well, the seller is upfront about the fact that this is a project car. It's not going to be perfect, and it may require some work to get it to where you want it to be. But that's the beauty of a project car, isn't it? It's a chance to put your own personal touch on a piece of automotive history. So if you're ready to take on a project that's sure to be rewarding, head on over to Craigslist and check out this 1985 Corvette. With a price tag of just $3,000, it's an opportunity that's hard to pass up. Who knows? You might just end up with the car of your dreams. Number 18. We've got a real treat for you. A 1973 Cadillac Eldorado convertible that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic beauty is being offered at $12,900, and it's definitely worth taking a closer look. Now, let's dive into the details provided by the seller. This Eldorado has been under the care of a single owner and has always been kept in a garage, which is a great sign for its overall condition. It's powered by a large V8 engine, and the seller mentions that the car runs and even has a new battery. That's a plus, considering the age of this classic. The seller also notes that all the electronics are in working order, including the power trunk, which is a convenient feature. It's important to keep in mind that this Eldorado is part of an estate sale, and the license plates have been turned in, meaning it's not currently being used on the road. While the seller doesn't explicitly mention any significant issues or poor conditions, it's crucial to approach any classic car purchase with a discerning eye. Given the age of the vehicle, it's likely that there may be some wear and tear or areas that require attention. It's always recommended to inspect the car in person if possible, or have a trusted mechanic take a look before making a final decision. Overall, this 1973 Cadillac Eldorado convertible presents an exciting opportunity for collectors or enthusiasts looking to own a piece of American automotive history. With its single-owner history and garage storage, it could be a solid foundation for a restoration project or a cherished addition to any classic car collection. Just be sure to do your due diligence and gather all the necessary information before making a commitment. Number 19. We've got a real treat for you. A 1985 Cadillac Seville that's sure to turn heads wherever you go. This beauty is currently up for grabs on Craigslist for just $5,800, and let me tell you, it's a steal. First off, just look at that stunning paint job and sleek body. The seller has clearly put a lot of love and care into this classic ride. And check out that custom Rolls-Royce styled grille. It's a $1,200 value alone. The owner has also added some unique touches, like custom headlight covers and extra chrome pieces, to really make this Seville stand out from the crowd. But it's not just about looks. This car has got the performance to back it up. With a 4.1 V8 engine and front-wheel drive, this Cadillac runs, drives, and shifts like a dream. And get this, it even gets decent gas mileage for its size, with 24 plus mpg on the highway. That's pretty impressive for a classic ride like this. Inside, you'll find all the power features you'd expect from a Cadillac, including power windows and seats. The only thing that needs a little TLC is the antenna, but that's an easy fix. And with just 121,000 original miles on the odometer, this Seville has plenty of life left in it. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Is this car really as good as it sounds? And I'm here to tell you, yes, it absolutely is. The seller's description is spot on, and you can tell they're being totally upfront and honest about the condition of the car. This is a rare find, folks, and if you're in the market for a classic Cadillac that's sure to impress, you don't want to miss out on this one. So there you have it, car enthusiasts. A beautiful 1985 Cadillac Seville that's ready to hit the road with its new owner. Don't wait too long, because a deal this good won't last forever. Number 20. We've got a real gem for you. We're taking a closer look at a 1984 Pontiac Firebird that's up for sale on Craigslist. And let me tell you, this one is special. First off, let's talk about the price. This Firebird is listed at $8,700, which might seem like a pretty penny. But trust me, once you hear about the condition of this car, you'll realize that it's worth every cent. Now, let's dive into the details. The seller has provided some fantastic information about this Firebird, and it's clear that they've taken great care of it. This is a limited edition Trans Am, folks. That means it's not just any old Firebird, it's a rare and sought-after model. But here's the real kicker. This Firebird has just 84,000 original miles on the odometer. That's right, 84,000 miles. For a car that's almost 40 years old, that's incredibly low mileage. It's a testament to how well this car has been maintained over the years. The seller also notes that this Firebird has no dings, dents, rust, or bodywork. That's a huge plus, especially for a car of this age. It's clear that this Firebird has been stored properly and kept out of the harsh winter weather, which can be tough on classic cars. But it's not just the exterior that's in great shape. The seller mentions that the underside of the car is excellent and very straight. That's a sign of a well-maintained vehicle that hasn't been in any major accidents or suffered from rust damage. And when it comes to performance, this Firebird doesn't disappoint. The seller says it runs and handles great, which is exactly what you want to hear when you're considering a classic sports car like this. But the seller didn't stop there. They've also made some key upgrades to this Firebird, including new tires, brakes and hood, and rear hatch struts. These are all important components that can make a big difference in how the car drives and handles. So, if you're in the market for a classic sports car that's been well maintained and is ready to hit the road, this 1984 Pontiac Firebird might just be the one for you. With its low mileage, excellent condition, and recent upgrades, it's a car that's sure to turn heads and provide plenty of driving excitement. Of course, as with any used car purchase, it's always a good idea to have a trusted mechanic take a look at the vehicle before you make a final decision. But based on the information provided by the seller, this Firebird seems like a solid bet. So, what are you waiting for? Head on over to Craigslist and check out this 1984 Pontiac Firebird. It might just be the car of your dreams.